Hey everyone, and welcome to Superhero Speak. I'm your host Dave.
And John.
And now, of course, your buddy Don.
Yes, and JD is off this week. He is on assignment, as we say around here. Yeah, that's it. Uh, he should be returning next week, though. We'll see. Um, yes, so that's it. It's just us tonight. Anyway, um, I'm trying to be careful what I'm saying. How's everyone doing? It's the end of February. Anything exciting going on in anyone's lives? Don, we haven't seen you in a while other than comments. How are you? How's your 2024 so far?
Yeah, my 2024 so far is great with a lot of good stuff to look forward to. Actually started doing a couple of the Omega Level Nerds podcast episodes with my buddy John. So that's been fun because we haven't been staying within the bounds of geekery. I mean, we even talked some NBA All-Star. So that's exciting, but outside of that, just steadily awaiting Marvel Jesus in Deadpool 3 or Deadpool and Wolverine, excuse me, and of course what we'll talk about later on. So I'm really excited. I got a bunch of good stuff to look forward to and enjoy.
Cool.
Nice.
John, how about you? Anything new since last week?
Well, I watched the first two episodes of the new live action Last Airbender and almost threw up a little bit.
Really? That bad?
Yeah, we should talk about that. Like, fit that into the news a little bit, because there's stuff that I would like to hear Don's opinion on about certain ideas I have about this.
Yeah, I definitely like to hear your opinion, because, I haven't seen it yet, but, it looked like it was going in a good direction. So, yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, fit it in the news, Dave. We definitely should talk about that. Other than that, everything's okay. Had a little hiccup at work.
You have the hiccups at work?
Well, no, I kind of gave our network hiccups. So,
Whoa, wait a minute. I need to hear this. What did you do?
No, I did something. Let's just say that I was under the gun for a deadline to renew a domain cert in our network. And I was working with a couple other guys, and the domain cert didn't take properly, and hijinks ensued. So, I'm dealing with some fallout from that, but we reversed it quickly. It's just that it was noticed by a lot of people, and I hate when I make mistakes like that.
And we had a major outage at work last week, so now I'm starting to think you're.
This was on Friday. This was on Friday, and it has nothing to do with the T-Mobile outage. They did their own thing.
Yeah, that's right. There was a big outage. So you're saying that wasn't you?
No, that was
somebody else.
Yeah, that was interesting because that was more than T-Mobile. T-Mobile was in the headlines, but it was
right.
Also,
but it was a major network that T-Mobile manages, I think, and it affected all the other people that were sharing on that network or something.
But I think AT&T was involved.
Was
it
in AT&T?
Yeah,
it was both of them were, and they're actually saying that it might have been a cyber attack now. So
that's possible. but Dave is also in the IT biz. You know how it is, Dave. Like once or twice in your career, you're going to hit a wrong button and you're going to lose $1 million for a company.
I accidentally deleted a production table at the place that we both worked at way before you started there.
Oh, point right.
And because I was writing a script, they wanted me to delete a table, and I thought I was in dev, and I ran the script, and I was in production, and I was like, "Oh crap!" But you remember Scott? He was my boss, and he was just like, we all make mistakes," and they just restored it from backup. But it was just like, yeah.
That's what my superiors are telling me too. It's like, John, it happens to everybody, blah blah blah. But I really don't like being the reason one of those things happen. But like earlier in my career of GSI Commerce, I wrote a regular expression. You don't have to know what a regular expression is, except that they're unintelligible to normal human beings and even some of us IT people. But wrong dollar sign in the wrong place in the regular expression, and I brought down 3 or 4 different e-commerce sites, including Toys R Us and Radio Shack. So
You're why Toys R Us went out of business.
No, I'm not. That's investment companies. That's why Toys R Us went out of business. The same ones that are killing all of our hospitals. Anyway, so yeah, like it happens from time to time. But I was trying to do the right thing and did it the wrong way. So I'm really down on myself right now, to be perfectly honest, because I hate causing other people problems. I like to be the one who helps fix problems, not the one that causes them. So there's that. Also, still not as bad as the Last Airbender, but
wow, jeez.
Well, I may be a little bit more down on it, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, Dave.
So I remember your Star Wars opinions. So yeah,
real quick, we're live on Instagram, but for some reason those comments aren't showing up in StreamYard. But someone said this is Nerd Geeks and the. It's so hard to read.
I'm not on Instagram, so I wouldn't be able to read it.
If you don't like it from the beginning of Airbender, the last 2 episodes will really make you retch. So yeah, apparently it gets worse. I heard episode 6 was okay, but I'm not going to get to that. So anyway, all right. We'll talk about it. Yeah, so that's it. How are you doing, Dave? I'm doing all right. Had an interesting weekend. Got into it with the girlfriend, unfortunately, a little bit. No, we're fine now. We just actually were talking right before I got on. But yeah, like it's just it's one of those things where it puts you in a bad mood for the rest of the weekend. So yeah.
I've been there. Even being married, that sort of shit happens, and you've got like a perfectly great weekend planned, and then it gets screwed up.
Yep. Yeah.
I would give my eye teeth for a girlfriend to fight with.
I thought you were going to pull one out of your backpack.
No. What I just thought I'd show this.
That's a T-Dragon?
No, but it is from Kit Steel.
Okay.
It's a tree dragon.
A tree dragon, okay.
But look at that.
My dogs like it.
Dave, I mean, I know, like sometimes I'm a pain in the ass about this podcast and everything, but sometimes I really like with Don, I really am glad that I get to meet some of these people.
Hi, Joey. I thought it was going to be a love pillow. Says Joey from So Was the Podcast.
No. I don't have any of those. I don't have any anime body pillows. Why would you ask? Stop asking stupid questions.
I don't want to know about your anime body pillows. I've shared hotel rooms with you. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
But other than our little bit of a tiff, I mean, everything's been fine. Same old. I was originally supposed to have my review this week, but my bosses got behind. Oh no, that's the other bad thing that happened this week. A coworker passed away.
Ooh, we had that happen at Punt Roll once.
That's always hard to deal with.
Well, yes, but the guy who passed away at Point Roll, he was going in for surgery, and he never came out of it.
I remember.
He was on a business trip, came home, was feeling sick. They thought he just had a cold. He still wasn't feeling good after a day or two, so he went to urgent care. They checked him, said his lungs were fine. They gave him some kind of medication. He went home. He was he works from home like I do, because a lot of us work from home at my company. And he was texting with his wife, and she said that the texts were like, they didn't make sense. They were like jumbled.
Oh, geez.
And so she called him, and he didn't answer. So a neighbor went over and checked, and he was passed out. They took him to the emergency room. Here he had pneumonia, influenza, and COVID all at the same time.
Man,
And
that's scary to think. Because you think if something happens, it's because someone didn't go to the doctor. But, to hear
I
that they
think that
went.
I kind of feel like that urgent cares probably missed something, and they could be on the hook for malpractice. But
This is why I've trained my cats in CPR. No, that's terrible. That is really terrible. And and being somebody who lives alone, except for said 2 cats, like I worry about that sometimes.
and the thing that really hits home for me, and I know I'm not that young anymore, but I don't feel like I'm that old. He was only a year older than me, so that was just like, wow. That was just like, I don't. I mean, now granted too, he was like me. He was actually bigger than me. He was a big guy, and I know that played a factor in it. But still, it's just like,
Yeah, but like you said, that urgent care should have caught one of those.
If
3.
he had pneumonia, they should have caught
Right,
it.
they should be able to They should be able to tell you if you have pneumonia. Right.
Just a stethoscope on your lungs can tell if you've got pneumonia.
Yeah.
Breathe deeply. Yeah, your lungs are filling up.
Yep.
It's like very easy to diagnose if you're a doctor, or a nurse, anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if I'm feeling like that and I go to a doctor, I make them check because I have very slight asthma that acts up in the cold weather, and like I want to be sure that it's not just that, So, yeah. So that
Sorry
was.
to hear it.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I was supposed to have my my review, but obviously like everything got messed up, and I think I'm gonna probably end up having it this week. We'll see. But yeah, it was crazy to get that news because he was my boss's boss, but he was actually hired as an architect, and he didn't want to be management. He just wanted to be an architect. So they had recently moved him over into that role too. So. Yeah.
Yeah, that is scary about working from home, though. I work from home too.
Yeah.
And I've got diabetes, and I spend a lot of time alone. And if something happens, who knows? Because the neighbors don't care because I'm not very sociable. So
That doesn't surprise me.
Other than the guy that comes over and play Magic, I got one neighbor that but yeah, outside of that, I'm just not very sociable. So
Yeah.
when the wife and kids aren't here, it's just the 2 dogs and me.
Yeah, you got to train them in CPR.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? John, you said you could train your cat. So.
At least your dogs have more mass. They'll be able to push harder.
There you go.
They do, and I've apparently heard cats eat their owners when they die too. So I don't know.
That's
what's
just
worse.
one of. So now that everybody's depressed, we just lost one of our.
Oh
watchers.
my god!
Let's.
Yeah, all
It's
right.
normally John's job. I'm sorry.
This is true.
Wait!
Stop
I got
taking
good
my
news.
jobs.
I got good news. There is no social media madness this week.
Yay! Look at that. See? All right.
And here,
Okay, wait.
cheer you up.
I don't see a comet. What's going on?
I just, because with everything going on this week, first off, we didn't get a lot of comments on social media this week, and I think the one comment I got that I would have included was from Don. It was something about the X-Men, and I don't remember what it was.
Something, I'm excited, blah, blah, blah. Sure.
And two, with what happened with my girlfriend, I didn't post a video asking a question, so yeah, it was just like, eh. But here we go. Here's the dirty joke of the week. What is the difference?
I'll listen with half in here. That way, I'll only be halfway.
What is the difference between a tire and 365 used condoms?
That's gonna be offensive. All right. Yeah.
One's a good year. One's a good year. The other's a great year.
Nice.
See, Don liked it.
That's a good one. Come on, it wasn't that,
Come on, JD's not here to make you
double entendre rubber.
turn red. So yeah,
You're gonna have to try harder. You got to get to the point where I'm running away.
All right. Well, we don't have Social Media Man this week. But if you want to be part of Social Media Madness for next week, here's our good friend Don to tell you more.
How's the show going? You join it? Do you want to be part of Social Media Madness? And go ahead and head over to superheroespeak.com, where you can find all the social links, episodes of the show. You can find comic reviews by Chris and other articles. We're posting stuff on there all the time. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. Great shows like the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Colt 45, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, So Wizard, and Superhero Speak. Hashtag GW All-Stars, and you will not be disappointed. So make sure that you are engaging with the Superhero Speak Twitter post whenever they come up. Give us your best comment, and you may make JD say this.
I get so tired of these dumb motherfuckers.
All right, it's back to the show.
I love that.
Also, make sure when you record something that you flip the image so the shit on your shirt doesn't read backwards. Another tip for you there.
It's the little things in life. You know, what can you do? But while you're here, too, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click that bell for notifications so you don't miss us when we go live on Sunday nights right here on YouTube and other platforms. As you can see, we're live on Instagram this week and Twitch as usual, and the Xmen file, the Xmen app, as you like to call it.
Right.
Isn't we should be on Blue Sky now, right? Isn't that open now for everybody? It used to be only by invite, and now they've opened up to everybody.
Possibly. I don't know. I haven't looked into it yet.
It would be one of the few places where people can flee to from what was formerly Twitter, what was formerly good.
Everyone keeps saying that. I don't think it's going anywhere. I mean, Threads is horrible. We don't get any interactions over there. People barely do. So it's just like, I don't know.
No, TikTok, and I mean, you're not going to do Mastodon. Like, Mastodon's for people like me with more technical experience.
I am so ticked at TikTok because to go live on TikTok, through like StreamYard, we have to use they have an app for that, like a separate application for going live on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
But it only runs on Windows. And I do everything on my Mac. So it's just like,
Yeah,
and I'm shocked.
Completely.
That is actually, I'm really surprised about that. Actually,
I'm shocked that they don't have a Mac version. It was just like, okay, so, yep.
Give them time.
TikTok, get your act together. And while they're doing that, let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with some news.
Some podcasts are like this.
So I had this debate the other day in the car. So Helen Keller. So apparently someone said that she flew a plane.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I'm like,
well, how does she fly
no.
a plane? How does she fly a plane if she's hiding in the closet? What? How does Helen Keller? What? What?
You were Shut up. Shut up.
Did she get free and then fly the plane?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
What is happening right now?
There was like a live audience and I could ask them, does he even deserve me to continue? Oh my god. I'll give you one more chance. Helen Keller. What is she known for?
She wrote a book in the attic.
That's Anne Frank. Helen Keller's the woman that was blind and deaf.
And some podcasts are like this.
DC Talk used to have this song that was like, we're just two honks and a Negro serving the Lord.
What? You lying? Hold on for a second.
When you really break it down, we're just two honks and a Negro serving the Lord. We're just two honks and a Negro singing our song.
Bruh. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
But only one podcast is where you can get in-depth analysis like this.
And murder them like they are getting like emulted, like they're being burned the fuck alive.
Yeah, they are literally turning to ash
It was
from.
Thanos snap. They're like,
But it was two butt cheeks instead.
Yeah, two butt cheeks of our Lord. and
Thanos
Savior.
clapping.
You are now listening to Cult 45.
This is Beat 'em Down.
And I'm Random Randy Savage.
Find us on all your podcatching apps like Podbean or Spotify, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or just go to www.cult45podcast.com.
Also, check out our YouTube for that sweet, sweet video content.
Cult 45, the only podcast that puts hair on your chest.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Don?
No, we can't lose him.
I must have hit a button.
Well, don't do that.
See, John, I do that for a living, but I still mess it up. So sometimes you hit the wrong button.
Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly acceptable. It happens. All right. The first news article I brought this week, it's a rumor, kinda. It's
I mean, the link you gave us is, I mean, it's, I thought it was, we got this covered, like.
It was Yahoo News for this one.
That's not any better.
Well, it's Yahoo.
What is good on the internet, right? Like, if everything's fake, nothing's fake. If everything's woke, nothing's woke. I mean, it is what it is.
So the thing is, it came from a source that has leaked Marvel stuff before that has all come true, and all this leak has said is that Henry Cavill has signed a deal with Marvel. That can mean 1,000 different things, right? But
well, who hasn't signed a deal with Marvel at this point? I mean, seriously.
But even what is it? Not Screen Crush. Yeah, Screen Crush. I think it was did a video on it. Like, because they said that, and that's one of the channels I watch, like, they said that this guy has been right before, so they just did a video where they were, like, speculating on who he could play, and of course, the top rumors are, that there was Doctor Doom, but that has been squashed. Like, they have come out and said that, someone came out and said, like, no, he's not playing Doctor Doom. Of course, he has said before he'd like to play Captain Britain. He has said that.
No one cares about that. He's got to get over that. And
The other rumor that came up, and this is why I brought this up today, because we've got Don here. The other prevalent rumor is he's going to be the new Wolverine in the MCU.
He's too big.
No, we can't do that.
Hugh Jackman is too big.
Right. Yeah, we're never gonna get a 5'2" Wolverine in the movies. Not gonna happen.
Old. It's
not sexy. It ain't. We're not gonna get a short.
Oh, just put Peter Dinklage on stilts. We'll take him as Wolverine.
I mean,
he was one of the two actors that won Game of Thrones. All the other ones didn't. It's him and Oberyn Martell, otherwise known as Din Djarin and all that.
I mean, Cavill is younger than Jackman, though.
Now, but they need.
I mean, not much.
I go back to the Deadpool quote of we need somebody that will last 10 to 12 years, in a franchise. So.
Henry Cavill's going to be in the MCU. Scorned from the DCU, he's going to be in there somewhere. That's why I don't really think it matters what kind of site this comes from, because it's going to happen, so you kind of do assume that it's true. It makes too much sense for me that it's not. And if he's going to play anybody, I've been professing this forever. Oh, I got to stand up a little bit. That dude right there, Cyclops, that's who I want Cavill to be, because
he'd make a good Cyclops.
He'd make a wonderful Cyclops, because Cyclops is like a Captain America adjacent character. So,
yeah.
And Captain America is no longer, at least it's the version everybody likes, is no longer a thing in the MCU. So the next strong personality, man, can be Cyclops, and I think Cavill would pull it off splendidly.
Was Cyclops ever a strong personality? Like, his only claim to fame was he was with Jean Grey, right?
No, that's not his only claim to fame.
I mean, he ran the X-Men for a while after Professor X was gone, but
Well, and then there was the Professor X was gone. Then there was the schism where him and Wolverine got into it because Wolverine didn't want the X students used as soldiers. So that big, and then that's where the Wolverine had the Jean Grey school. Cyclops went off to San Francisco and had the Utopia team. And from there, he was like a revolutionary because in the comics from that point on, that was like close to No More Mutants, right? With Wanda when she wiped out all the mutants, got them down to like 200. So at that point, Cyclops was like a survivalist. They considered him a terrorist. They basically tried to make him a bad guy. And when at the end of the day, all he did was help destroy a Terrigen mist cloud that killed mutants. So, I mean, it was a whole martyr thing. Like, absolute no. And and Scott Summers, Cyclops, is the one of the few people in the Marvel universe that can bitch at Captain America and be right and say, hey, what have you done for the mutants? What have the Avengers done? You've sat there, you guys have watched us basically almost be extinct. So no, we're not going to give the only mutant born within the last 15, 20 years over to the Avengers. So whatever, fuck you, Optic Blast, get out of here. Like, but just he has a great standing, a great moral standing, and a lot of conviction as a character. And I really want to see him more in the MCU.
Coming from a DC perspective, like not knowing as much about Marvel as you guys, like it sounds like his backstory is as moderately unknown as like Booster Gold's on the DC side, where everybody's like Booster Gold's just joke. Actually, no, he's saved the universe a couple of times, and like he's one of the he's way more important than you'd think. It's same thing with this. Like I mean, coming from my side, it's like all I've ever heard is he's just this pansy ass guy who is with Jean Grey and is always fighting with Wolverine over Jean Grey and whatever, and but. From what you're saying, there's way more that I don't know about. So
I mean, and he's his parentage. His dad is a space pirate, like, and his brother is Havoc, like, and
his kid is like
Abel's
one of the most
father.
powerful. Yeah.
Well, and I'll get into that more with the X-Men '97 stuff because I've got the whole pregnant Jean Grey thing. I'm going to go off on that. But anyway, Cyclops is an awesome character, but Kassan's not wrong. He would also be a great Magneto because I was also thinking Doctor Doom. And I think a good Doctor Doom adjacent is Magneto. So I wouldn't mind that either. Absolutely not.
And they're I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but there's also talk that they're not going to introduce Doctor Doom in the first movie. So I feel like Doctor Doom's too far out to sign Cavill now for it. I mean, he could be 1,000 different things. Obviously, these rumors came out also like when they were wrapping up filming Deadpool. So whoever he is isn't going to be in Deadpool either.
But we do know like it's Henry Cavill. He's going to play one of the major players, right?
Yeah.
Not that anybody that they've signed hasn't really played a major player technically, but this is going to be one of the bigger ones.
And it's funny because like one of the things people were saying, oh, well, maybe he'll want to play a villain now, the whole Breaking Bad thing. But it's like, I get that, but he played a villain in Mission Impossible. So it's like...
He did in Superman, too.
Technically, maybe not.
Snap.
At least for those poor non-metahumans,
I would love him to get in a role in a major comic book franchise where, like, he could show his chops, show his how charming he can be, and all that stuff. And I know that he does that. Like, he's really good at The Witcher.
Yeah,
but it's like not everyone's going to see that. Everyone's going to go see another superhero movie with him in it, and I think I'd love to see him like really be able to show his stuff. So, because he's a good actor, he just was given lousy scripts in those Superman movies. So,
and direction. I mean,
and all of it. Yes, yeah. Poor Zack Snyder. All right. Well, let us know who you think you'd like him to play in the comments down below. We would love maybe discuss some of it next week during Social Media Madness. Nerd Geeks over on Instagram said Scott and Logan have always been in competition, competing alpha males in the X-Men universe. Summers is the tactician of the group. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. All right, moving on. This actually came out in an interview in GQ. Mark Ruffalo says he would love to do a solo Hulk movie, but he's been told it's too expensive.
But they've done two
And
solo Hulk movies.
Call bullshit.
Yeah. There's no freaking way.
I call Marvel saying it's too expensive of a risk to take right now. I think that's what it really is. But yeah, and I think that's just what they told him.
Which is kind of funny because if they had a good script, that would be a movie that would really, fit into a new phase. Like that would be one of the bigger characters to have a good movie for.
Yes, absolutely. This is really disappointing because I feel they're really missing the mark here, because the Hulk is one of those characters that you're not going to lose money on. That if you make a good movie, doesn't have to be Shakespeare, doesn't have to be masterpiece, doesn't have to be Endgame, but people are going to go see a Hulk movie. Yeah.
My issue has always been because I am a fan of the comics. I have read a bunch of Hulk comics, and I've said this from the beginning, is that they haven't done him right in the movies. They got closer in Ragnarok, and then they threw it all away and gave us a pretty version of Professor Hulk. And
they could do Mr. Fix-It, though. Joe Fix-It, right?
Joe Fix-It, yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But, the whole thing with the Hulk has always been, in the movies, they've always made the Hulk this brainless destruction machine, right? And I know that's born out of, everyone knows the 70s TV show, and that's how they portrayed him in the show. Yeah. But that's not who he is in the comics. He isn't as intelligent as Dr. Banner, but there is a whole side of him of questioning his existence and why do people hunt him down because he's ugly and all this stuff.
And trying to control.
It's a very Dr. and Jekyll. It's a very Dr. and Jekyll meets Frankenstein story in the comics. That's what it was done. And you can write a beautiful script around this idea. They just haven't done it at Marvel. And I don't know why. Why they're afraid to say, hey, let's just go back to the core of what this character is and actually do that in a movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong at all. All I have to do is Planet Hulk, World War Hulk. I mean, there's just a bunch of stuff that they can do with, like you're saying, where he's not a mindless idiot, where he is a thinking, reasoning, yet pissed off Hulk. Especially all this newer stuff with him, with the Immortal Hulk now.
Oh my god!
I mean, there's just a ton of stuff, interesting stuff that they can delve into from the source material that they haven't. And yeah, if they did, I mean, just everybody from normies on down, the Hulk is a character that you should be focusing on because people love.
Yeah.
Just write a story that goes back to the reason that he was created in the first place. What do kids want to, it was an outlet for kids reading it, saying, thanks, James. I was wondering if anybody would get that. No, it was to give kids this way of imagining that, when you get into trouble or when people are beating you up, what's the one thing you wish you could do? You wish you could turn into a huge monster and have all the power and be able to fight back. And that's what it is. So you add all the angst and the other story points that he's had for all these years. It would be, writing a script on that would be way easier than some of the other stuff, you'd think. But apparently they're going to whiff on this one just like they did on so many others. Like Black Widow. We can't make a Black Widow. Oh, she's dead. We'll make a movie about her now. Come on.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, and I said this before when we did the movie too. It feels like it would have been so much better if it came out in the time it takes place in the movie.
Absolutely.
And it feels like the script was written then, and they just were like, "Oh, okay, let's do it now."
Oh, and if they went and fucked over Taskmaster. That too.
Oh yeah, yep,
Yeah,
they did.
good job.
They pulled an original Deadpool on him, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Yeah, let's not mention the Black Widow movie ever again.
It wasn't.
Now, is it going to
bad,
be in the
but-
Thunderbolts movie? No. Yeah, there's a couple people that are going to be in the Thunderbolts movie that nobody wants.
Mhm.
So that'll be fun.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't even know what they want to do with it. Like, it felt like they were going direction of like a Dark Avengers, but I don't even know.
Thunderbolts with like, okay, and I get it. You know, Red Hulk is going to be in it. Okay, but yeah, give us Thunderbolt with Deadpool and Punisher. You know, all the great Thunderbolts characters, and yeah, we're there. But give us all the you know, Plan B leftovers from Phase 4 and 5. No, not the ensemble we're looking for.
No, not at all. And again, the characters they seemed to originally were pulling in felt like, okay, maybe they are going Dark Avengers, but yeah, no. Then it's like, and then how does Bucky fit into it? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. So, all right.
But just understand in the MCU, villains are running the American government. I feel that's not talked about enough. Like, you know, that what's her name, Constantina Villanueva, whatever, Madam Hydra,
Madam
who runs
Hydra.
the CIA
Yeah, right.
in the MCU, like, just,
Or
I just
Gary
want everyone
Shandling. Gary Shandling, he was a Hydra agent. Yeah, like that is not talked about enough in the MCU. You're
Like,
right.
Yeah,
Like
just America's just the villain, basically.
all of these leftover Hydra agents are still in the government. Like,
and don't forget the Skrulls too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Skrull
Like,
is
they
a
were all
million
over the-
Skrulls
all
on
over
the
the-
planet. Yeah.
Yeah. Some
Hydra
of them
Skrull.
could-
Which one? Hydra Skrull. Right. You don't know.
They've ruined the Scrolls for me with the.
I know they did. They could probably pull that out of the swan dive that it was taking, but they
won't.
They would have to just imagine that, you know what, the last few episodes of that series didn't happen.
I kind of feel like, yeah, they have to be able to sit there and go, you know what, people, that didn't count. That didn't happen. That was a
Right.
dream. That was a.
We're taking a mulligan. It's like,
that was a Nick Fury fever dream. Don't worry about it. It didn't really happen. Like, yeah.
You know, I didn't hate that show. The only thing I really detested about the show is that it involved Super Skrull, and I wanted that to be introduced to the Fantastic Four.
Oh, of course. I think we all wanted that.
well, that and the fact
Outside
that
of that, though, I didn't hate it.
the fact that they made the Super Scroll, like, not just Super Scroll, but having all the powers at that point. Well, what do you do with the character? I mean, that character should be involved in almost everything that happens from now. Just like there's another Vision flying around. We haven't seen him, but he should have been involved. They're leaving too many open threads now.
I saw. Oh, wait. Okay. Not to. I mean, this is a good topic. Not to get too derailed. I saw a theory on the White Vision on why we haven't seen him again, which I call BS on because the White Vision is a character from the comics. Is that once he realized he was Vision,
He's in a video game, too.
yeah. Once he realized he was Vision, and his mission was to destroy the Vision, he flew himself into the sun and destroyed himself.
Right.
Biggest cop out ever, but like it was
Yeah.
I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
I agree. I think he was doing some soul searching, and hopefully he comes back soon. All right. Okay. So this next story, this popped up. I saw it a couple days ago, and it made me curious because I got to be honest. I haven't been in a comic book shop for a little while, on a Wednesday, but DC for a while, I didn't know this, were releasing on Tuesdays, and now they're switching back to Wednesdays with everyone else.
Yep.
I mean, it's funny because I kind of feel like people weren't going to the comic book store a day early to get their Tuesday releases. Like, they would just go on Wednesday anyway. So I don't think it was helping the comic book shops or anything. I could be wrong. I know that you still read fairly regularly, Don. Like, do you feel this makes any kind of difference one way or the other?
No, I didn't. In fact, I was still podcasting regularly when this happened, and we talked about it. And it was just like, how stupid is this? Because, you're right. I mean, it's not going to help them. It's not going to hurt them per se, but it's not going to help them. They're not going to get that edge. A lot of comic book shops I know of aren't even open on like Mondays and Tuesdays. They don't even open until Wednesday, and they'll stay open for the rest of the week. So, yeah, that whole feng shui of Wednesday pools, they just took themselves out of that a little bit. No, it didn't give them. It was dumb. So I'm glad they're at least back to that, because they can maybe at least get, let me pick up this new DC book because I'm here for other comics. Like, they could get that anyway, just being on the shelf for one extra day. I bet you they didn't even get put out. I bet you that because the comics shops have to put out every new shit for Wednesday.
Yeah,
I bet you they just got put out on the same day.
Yeah, because again, you would also be making more work for the comic book shop.
Yeah,
he's got to move stuff around.
Fuck, I gotta do the DC section today. Then I gotta do everything else tomorrow. Yeah.
Yep.
And you don't want to fuck with the people that are selling your product. So
no. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were able to show it doesn't affect their sales one way or the other, and that's why they just moved back. Yeah. It was a weird move to begin with, I thought. And then I did see something else, but I didn't have a chance to I saw this earlier and didn't have a chance to look into it further. That Marvel is now committed to $3.99 cover price for their books moving forward. So they're dropping the price.
Well, I don't think they're dropping it, because your regular size issue is still $3.99, which is still a lot. But the thing
I thought they were $5 now. Okay.
Well, a lot of them are, though. That's the thing. Like, if they do an issue number 1 or annuals or shit like that, like they will do that for a lot of special issues.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the right terminology, but yeah, no, you are seeing more $4.99, $5.99 books.
Yeah,
and it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. So I mean, at the very least, yeah, $4. Okay. So I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
Is that going to have shrinkflation, though? Do you know what shrinkflation is?
Yeah, when they make something smaller but keep it at the same price.
Right, right.
Like if you look at Gatorade bottles, they used to be 32 ounces, but now they're 28 ounces, but it's the same price.
Right.
So they're going to give us less pages now.
Cereal is like the best example of it. The box is thinner and shorter.
You're getting less and less cereal, even though you're paying the same price.
Right.
And you just don't notice it until it's so, like, when I make cakes, I really notice it because the cake mixes, they keep shrinking those to the point where now I need 2 cake mix boxes to make the same cake I used to make 10 years ago with only 1. So it's so noticeable that my cake, I had to mix more in because the cakes were too thin.
One day I will get to try your bread.
So does that mean that they'll give us less pages if they commit to a $3.99?
I kind of doubt that, because their competitors are probably still going to be 32 pages as an average book. So, like, if DC's still 32 pages, is Marvel going to sell less books if they're now shorter stories? I don't know. I also don't understand why. I noticed this a while ago where, like, they're not selling advertising in the books. I don't know. Do advertisers just not want to advertise in books anymore, or
no more sea monkeys and X-ray glasses in the back?
They haven't had that in a long time.
I know. Sea monkeys were awesome.
The number of people that actually buy physical books anymore, I mean, I haven't looked at it in a while, but it's got to keep going down. At least for like the major markets, the indie stuff seems to be doing rather well with the Kickstarters and stuff.
Yeah.
But so to fuck with the value is really not good. I mean, again, it was already. It's why I don't do a pull list anymore, because it was just getting to the point where I bought a year's worth of a book, which, as we discussed, at a $4.99, $4.99 times 12. I mean, it's $50 for one book for a year, and you're not really getting a whole lot of story there. So they really got to watch because otherwise you get the app. And all those apps are so convenient, and all you have to do is wait 3 months. You're 3 months behind, but who really cares?
And that fits more with the younger culture too. Like, people are more willing to wait for stuff. Kassan keeps beating this dead horse.
He's
over and
right.
over again. I just want to know why comics don't take the manga business model. Who pays $4 for 20 pages? I mean,
JD has said it on the show that he sees manga. That's what the kids read is manga.
Right.
Yeah.
The comics, absolutely, if they want to stick around and be relevant, they need to go that route. But I think there's too much
books
pride there.
Like manga is much longer, right? It's like
the manga books are much longer, but remember that a lot of them are most of them are in black and white. Sometimes you'll get
that's
color
where
panels.
Comics beat it, right?
Right,
Comics
and
is a way
also
better
in
art
layout.
experience.
Also in
Yes.
layout, because the manga books are smaller, so you get smaller panels. But like in a comic book, when you open up to a full spread where they're doing action on the entire page that flows from one to the next, like I would say the comic books are way more technically complex than what you'd see in most manga. But by the same token,
sells.
Yeah, well, it sells because you're getting more story, and this I think the American market has forgotten that story freaking matters.
Well, that's the issue too. It's the marketing model for comics for a long time, unfortunately, has not been about telling good stories. It's about selling events, selling books, selling big stories, not writing good stories. So, like, and then the tie-ins to sell more books and all that crazy stuff.
Well,
whereas if they just wrote one good story and sold it as a single book, I think that would be much better in the long run. You know,
right, and you got to remember that with manga, you have a single creator who probably had a story in their head that goes on for years, like Oda or Akira Toriyama or whatever.
Well, the continuity is way better. Absolutely.
Yeah, right, and like when you go for a good story, if the person it's the same person writing it, like what was it? Green Dragon, was it? The guy who writes the Dragon comic. I don't remember. Dragon with the fin, the one who's
Savage Dragon,
Savage Dragon, right? So, like, you know, he's if the same person writing it, you're going to get better continuity, but you're also going to be able to deliver at a regular pace and much better pacing. But in American comics world, it's like, well, you're going to have this writer for this long, and then you'll have another writer, and then you might change artists and inkers and whatever. Like it's going to be kind of inconsistent over any given longer length of time.
I think one of the reasons Kickstarter is working, and it's the same reason manga does well, in a sense. It's like not all Kickstarters, but a lot of Kickstarters, they're going to be selling you here's 5 issues that are done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it might cost you $50, but it's, you know, a complete story beginning to end. You buy it, you read it, you're done. Where American comics, you're picking up issue 360, you know, and you haven't read 1 through 359 before you bought that.
Right.
So you kind of, some people are like, I'm lost, you know. Like, you have an idea who the character is, but you don't know what's going on at that point in the story. And I think, you know, we've talked about this before on the show, is like going to a model of, what do they call it? Like, not boutique comics, but like where they're just writing a story, like The Long Halloween. It's not in continuity. It comes out as a standalone book, and that's it. Like, don't worry about the continuing stories anymore.
Yeah, some of my favorites are like that, even for Marvel. With X-Men, of course, God Loves, Man Kills, Earth X with Alex Ross. Even on the DC side, Kingdom Come is, you know, all by itself. I've always loved that. So yeah, I mean, that really is, you know, the best shit is when it just boom. Here's an X-Men story. Here's this story. Here's that story.
All-Star Superman.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah,
that's one of my favorites of all time. And was it Final Frontier?
Justice League. Yes.
Yeah.
We did that on the show.
Kasan, you should try the Star Wars MMO. It's fucking wonderful. And I'm sorry, he hit it.
I'm going to say I'm questioning Kasan's comment here. He said it's like the MMO industry. World of Warcraft is killing it because the story is captivating. The shiniest games die off quick. Story is king. Do a lot of people still play Warcraft?
They do, absolutely.
There's two versions of Warcraft now. You can get the old, you can play the old version, or you can play the latest version.
That's the dumbest shit in the face of the planet, but they're making money off of it. Where it's like, yeah, we will release this game. Oh, you like the way the game used to be, where it was harder and shit? Okay, we'll release that version too. So now there's, oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some MMOs like the original version of Star Wars Galaxies from like God, it must have been 15 years ago or more.
Oh, more than that. More than that.
Where they were so beloved that there are developers that are just making new versions of it, like clean rooming the entire game, writing it from the ground up because they're not allowed to have the source code from the original publisher, and putting it out themselves for free because they can't charge because of licensing.
That happened with City of Heroes.
Yes, City of Heroes
Same
too.
shit,
That's another one.
Same shit. But now City of Heroes is now they say screw it. We'll give you can have the game back. We'll put the servers on because somebody else is going to do it anyway.
Right.
So yeah, that's funny shit with them.
See, I didn't even know City of Heroes was still around. Okay, then.
Oh yeah, it was
that I
really
might get
loved.
back into.
I must say that's the original OG, but the best the best character customization ever.
Yeah.
In MMOs.
And Star Wars Galaxies had one of the most. Actually, Star Wars Galaxies, the original version before they nerfed it and added Jedi and everything, had the best player economy ever, like of any game you've ever played, because you would have somebody who would become was it a collector who would go out and mine all this stuff, and then they would have to sell it to somebody who had maxed out their crafting, and that person would craft a weapon, and then they'd have to give it to somebody who was a slicer to up the stats in the weapon, and then the item would get sold. But like everybody had to work together, and everything in the game was player created. It was amazing. I just, I sold my account for $1,000 just before they nerfed it. So but it was that good,
Yeah. All right then. Okay, and I included this story, so changing gears a little bit, because we keep talking about this movie, and JD's convinced it's not going to come out, but now it has a release date. The Crow reboot is going to be in the theaters early June of this year. So originally the Ballerina, which was the John Wick spinoff, was supposed to come out June this year, and they've replaced it with the Crow reboot. Which is weird because I've not seen any trailers or commercials or anything for it yet, and it's going to be March next week.
Not even a stinger, yeah.
Not even a stinger. So I'm kind of curious. Is anyone looking forward to?
Don, did you see the original Crow?
Oh yes, the original Crow. I actually suggested it to you guys and then you guys watched it. Because I had recently rewatched it. My wife had never seen it, and that was one of my staple movies growing up was The Crow. And in rewatching it, even with my wife, I was like, holy man, this movie is, I still love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love everything about it. With that said, I'm not looking forward to a new version of it. I think that movie is frozen in a good place in time. The atmosphere of the movie, the music of the movie, the mystery of what happened to the actor in the movie. Like, I don't know, just something that doesn't seem to need to be messed with. And I don't watch that movie and think, oh boy, if we just had more CGI, like, that's not. So I'm not looking forward to it.
Skarsgård is playing the Eric Draven.
I mean, I'll be open to it because I love the property so much. So I'll be open. I'm not gonna, but I don't know, man.
June 7th. So yeah,
12 days before my 44th birthday, right? 40. Oh fuck, 44.
Oh, the halcyon days of me.
Oh, that's right. We're birthday twins. I forgot about that.
We are birthday twinsies, buddy. That's right.
Yes. So yeah, 12 days before our birthday. Before my 50th. And The Crow is one of my favorites, so I'm going to have to go see it. Just to complain about it.
Yeah. Book me on the show.
I mean, I was just shocked because, like, I was believing JD. He's like, I think this is just a write-off. They're blah, blah, it's never going to come out. And they're like, nope, it's coming out in June. Okay, I haven't seen anything on this in a while other than when they saw the article that Skarsgård was going to play Draven.
Listen, this could be a new day and age where in order for movies to make money, they can't spend that much money on advertising. They just have to be good and let the word of mouth make the money for them.
And that can work. But you're
Absolutely,
going to have to...
it can work.
But you need to light a fuse somewhere to get enough people in to make word of mouth work. Like, there's a threshold, right? You can't do no advertising because you need enough people to get word of mouth in so that, like, your second week and third week are big.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know.
Like,
I think you're right to some degree, but if I think, like, to me, it's a mystery. Why does Disney Marvel do any sort of advertising? Just say, Fantastic Four, here's the date, boom.
Oh, yeah, that would be enough.
Done.
Yeah, you're right.
We're going to be there, you know? So
Yeah.
that's just me. That's how I feel about it. I mean, I get it. Not all properties can do that. A lot of shit is going to need an elevator pitch. But for some properties,
yeah,
boom. You know, Chrono Trigger 2, this date. I'm booking it now.
Yeah. No,
Book it, Dano.
Baldur's Gate 4. I'd be there in a half
I mean,
a second,
I think Deadpool 3. You could just have
Oh, yeah,
Ryan Reynolds
Deadpool.
come
All
out,
you have to do is
come
say
out,
Deadpool 3, yep.
Deadpool 3, the date, and him walk off. And that's it.
Yep.
So, yeah. I
Although
agree.
I do like to get your special sock nerds. It's funny.
Oh, God.
Well, he's no stranger to pegging.
Yeah.
And it's new for
Okay.
Disney.
So speaking of reboot, Dave, you want to?
I was going to say, speaking of things that we're not really looking forward to, tell us a little bit about this live action Airbender, because I mean, I haven't watched it yet. I forgot that it was coming out this week, and like from the previews, I thought it looked decent. So, go ahead. How bad is this?
So, okay, you've both seen Avatar, the Last Airbender,
the original, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Well, then you're probably going to have much the same. I think if you look at the reviews are kind of split between people who have seen the original, people that have seen M. Night Shyamalan's only, and then people that are watching this without any of that baggage. And the biggest thing that this has going for it is that M. Night Shyamalan's exists, and so you know what the bottom rung is. So,
okay, so this ain't bottom rung then.
No, it's not.
Okay.
You know, I mean, at the very least, it has more time for the story to breathe. That said, the amount of story in each book or each season of The Last Airbender, from the animated version, there is so much in each one that even paring it down to only 8 hours didn't quite work.
Yeah.
You know, the actors are better, the characterizations are okay, but you got to remember that the original creators, Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, I think it's Konietzko.
They left.
They walked off.
Yeah.
Right. And now that I've seen 2 episodes, I can tell you why they walked off. And
I mean, that's the thing, right? I didn't realize it was only 8 episodes. And that's what gets me, because the original cartoon is so long compared to, like, you know, other things. I don't know how you condense the complexity of that story down into 8 episodes. Like, I thought it was going to be multiple seasons, you know, first season dealing with them finding Aang and, you know, realizing he's the Avatar and all that stuff. Then when, you know, the stuff with the I'm trying to remember what happens. Then when they go to the Water Kingdom and the whole moon.
The Koshi Warriors.
Right, that
the
whole
Spirit
story.
Realm.
And then there's the whole stuff that goes on in the Fire Nation. And then there's the whole confrontation with the Lord, the Fire Lord. Like, there's the whole lightning stuff with what's the Fire kid's name? The one with the scar on his
Rufio?
face.
You mean Rufio?
No, Prince Zaku.
Prince Zuko.
Zuko. Yeah. Like all that's his whole journey. Like each character's got a major story arc in the whole cartoon series.
Yeah. So let me, and this is part of what I wanted to open up a discussion on. So, I'm saying so too much. I'm hearing this now. We have gotten to a point where, again, and we've talked about this before, there is not a lot of willingness to do anything new in Hollywood. And so they're going for all of these quick hits, Disney especially, with, hey, we have The Little Mermaid, let's just make a live action version. Hey, we have The Lion King, let's make a horror show where everything's dead-eyed.
Let's make it a CGI movie and call it live action.
Right. So, again, I said so. The problem I'm seeing, and the problem I'm beginning to realize, is that it is nearly impossible to take something like Last Airbender and condense it down into only 8 episodes because a lot of the stuff that I like takes a long time to breathe. One Piece is a perfect example. One Piece is over 1,090 episodes now. People are saying, it's too long. You know, I just want to see the beats. But and granted, there's some fill in there. But the problem is that story takes that long to tell properly, where you can care about the characters because you're getting so much backstory, and you're having time to see the characters interact with each other, and not just because of the story beats, but seeing them interact organically with each other, on off days. So
real quick, and what you're saying, I think it kind of fits in with Kassan's comment here. He says, I've watched 6 episodes. I'm liking some stuff, but the amount of victim declaration is overbearing and unpleasant. Woe is me. It's all my fault, every single character.
Right.
Which I think is a shortcut to get you to feel sympathy for the character because they're not taking the time to build each character.
That goes back to another problem. The biggest problem with M. Night Shyamalan's version is that there was a lot of, it was almost total exposition, coupled with M. Night Shyamalan's patented deadpan delivery of just not only exposition, but just we're doing this, we're doing that. He never gets to the point where a character actually says, I feel this way about something, or I like that. It's the character's always speaking movie speak. And this adaptation is much the same. There is too much exposition, too much telling, not showing.
Right, because they're trying to do a giant story in 8 episodes.
Right, and also, I'll give a little bit of a spoiler here, right? When the animated version started, right? It starts with them, with the Southern Water Tribe, and you get to meet Aang, and you don't know who he is, and you learn about him organically through the story.
Right, the brother and sister, I can't think of their names. They're fishing and they come
Katara and
they find him in the water. Yeah, he's frozen in the water. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Now later on, there's an episode, one of the most famous episodes of the whole series. Even though the first season is technically the weakest of all 3 seasons, this episode showed the backstory of Aang and Zuko interleaved, and gave you
the whole point of those 2 characters are kind of mirrors of each other.
Right. It showed you the juxtaposition of the 2 characters and how much they had in common. And it was a perfect example of great storytelling.
Yeah.
This series starts with showing off Aang before he goes and takes a bath. So you basically, and it's full of, this, I did this, I did. It's like the writers were. It's like the writers were too. They could not wait. They could not wait, so they wanted to fill you in on everything, and they didn't give the story any room to breathe at all. They're just like, oh, we got to pack this in. Oh, we got to pack that in. Oh, we got to do this. It's basically like handing you a barrel of all of Chekhov's guns with little tags on them explaining everything.
That's the thing. That's the thing. When they show you the Avatar, because the thing is, he isn't fully capable when they find him either. He's just an airbender. He's a really good airbender, but he has to, that's part of the show, is he has to learn fire, water, and earthbending so that he can become the Avatar. But the other whole point of the story is he became frozen. He didn't die, so a new Avatar wasn't born. So the world forgot that the Avatar existed. They don't know what he is when they find him at first, and then they find out what an Avatar is, and there's a whole thing about that. And you find this out organically. So I see what you're saying.
One of the elders figured it out, basically.
Right. So when they throw it all in your face right away, it's like, well, that doesn't make sense, because that's also Zuko's arc, is he's trying to hunt down the Avatar so his father will be proud of him. But then when he finds out the Avatar and he realizes what all the wrong that the Fire Kingdom does, that's when he has his turn and becomes, and it's just like
they're and you can tell, and again, you can tell why the original creators walked off the set, because the things that, and this is my opinion, somebody who's watched the original and then drank heavily after M. Night Shyamalan's, it seems like they chose to highlight all the wrong points in the story. Like one of the points with when Aang gets taken by the Fire Nation in the beginning, in the first few episodes. So Katara and, oh my God, now I'm forgetting his name. Katara and her brother are like, let's go get him. How are we going to get him? And Appa had already been introduced, so they get on Appa. They're like, this thing can't fly. And like for a few minutes, you're like, does this thing fly? Because you don't know. You're watching this for the first time. And the point where he takes off into the air is like, it's magical. It's like, wow, this thing flies. Anything's possible now.
Right.
Right. In this adaptation, the Netflix adaptation, no, they kind of skipped over all of that. They had Appa flying already. It kind of took away from that point, and they're just missing the points that actually make the story.
It good, right.
Like the load-bearing structures of the story. They're missing those, and they're highlighting other things that really don't make a difference.
So, Son says,
yes. Yeah.
An Avatar is the writer's lack of faith in their audience.
Right.
They don't believe the audience can comprehend the story, so they just tell them everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's also points like they and this has been widely reported that Sokka, Katara's brother, Sokka in the beginning is a huge misogynist, and then you get to where they meet the Kyoshi warriors, and they set him straight, and you can see character growth. In this adaptation, they took that out. There's no character growth. These characters are just kind of like bebopping around the same points, but they're
they
not
also kind of like
growing.
I mean, that's the whole thing too, right? Because like they kind of say that's the way it is in the Water Tribe. You know, the men do the stuff and blah blah, and like they won't even teach her water bending because she's like, it's built into the tribe, right? And then when he meets the female warriors, he was like, oh,
the Kyoshi warriors, yeah,
women are capable, right?
They start throwing them around like a beanbag. It's hilarious.
Right. It's a learning moment. So yeah.
So yeah, it's just they, and then there's I've heard that the Netflix higher ups were like, we want to make this our next Game of Thrones. It's like, and that's another story beat. Aang is a 12-year-old in the original story. Done. Feel free to jump in anytime. Like Aang is a kid in the story, and he acts like a kid. And all of these people act their ages. They're kids. Even Prince Zuko is a kid in the beginning.
Yeah.
And as they hit these experiences, you can see their personalities grow. You can see them mature. You know,
Right.
Aang prematurely, because all this happens within, I think, I forget what the time frame of the original storyline is. I think it's only 1 year. And the poor 12-year-old has to grow up because he has to do things.
Right.
He has to save the world. In this, they're not. That's not happening.
Well, I'll tell you, here's my take on it, John, is Star Wars has taught us that a lot of fans don't want to give creators the time to cook. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been a part of it. So like, even on this show, we've made fun of Palpatine's return, right? Oh, he returned in the crawl, or somehow, right?
Somehow, Palpatine returned. There's T-shirts for that now.
If you're watching the Bad Batch now,
you're
getting all of that answered. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
not in that moment in the movie, but if you just let Star Wars universe cook, you'll get all the answers you need.
Right.
But that doesn't make the money. That you'll get the ire on X, Twitter, whatever social media of the day is, right? So unfortunately, we have made these creators to the point to where they can't cook, so they don't. They exposition the hell out of it,
yeah,
and they move along.
I'm gonna not really disagree with you on something. I think that they can't let them cook because they want to make money too quickly. Because if you look at the One Piece franchise, that thing is a multi-billion-dollar industry now, and it's because they let Oda cook. And again, this just as an aside, the Avatar Last Airbender adaptation, right? And we've talked about this before. The creators walked off because Netflix was interfering. Oda,
right?
Oda had,
which,
a
by the
little
way,
bit more power.
Henry Cavill walks off of Witcher. That series basically fucking dead now because of similar shit. So just Netflix is starting to pop up here a couple times.
Oda, the creator of One Piece, he stayed on. He had final say in everything. And look, the One Piece adaptation is still the best anime adaptation of all time by far. Like, I think that our biggest problem here, and it goes to what you said, Don, is like, if they let them cook, they would make the money that they're looking for.
Yeah.
But they're too impatient to let them cook because they want the money now.
Yeah, and I see the argument with a little bit with Star Wars in the sense of they spent so much money to buy Lucasfilm, Disney wanted the money now.
That was also Kathleen Kennedy just not managing that properly and having 3 different people write each story, each of those last 3 movies. And
I actually
saw DisneyPlus didn't exist before Rise of Skywalker, so they couldn't do that, and that's pretty much the greatest thing about Disney Plus now is they can cook, and we don't have to go to the movie theaters for them to do so.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No. That's good. You were answering Kassan's comment. So, but
love your buddy though. Thank you for the vote of confidence last week.
The other thing I was gonna say, shoot, it just went out of my head. About. No, that's right. The thing I was gonna say, talking about the Star Wars, we'll move on after this. Talking about Star Wars movies, I saw someone saying, I saw something about a meme or something about the Last Jedi and whatnot, and like somebody commented like, oh, but Mark Hamill loved playing Luke in that movie, and I'm like, what planet is this guy on? Every interview I have seen with Mark Hamill talking about The Last Jedi, he is like saying that it sucked and that, like he's on stage with Kathleen Kennedy and Ryan Johnson, and he makes this comment about kill the past, right? And he turns to Ryan Johnson, and man, you really tried to kill it. You know, you did a really good job with that. And it was like,
only Mark Hamill could say, "I'm Luke Skywalker, you fucker. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the real stuff."
So Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi didn't fit into Mark Hamill's head canon. It's not.
It didn't fit into anybody's head canon, really. I mean, it was. Those three movies were so disjointed.
Listen, from someone that has gotten to see the Luke Skywalker we all wanted to see in the Rise of Skywalker and the Last Jedi, he's in the comics, and I got to see that. And maybe I'm coming from a position of privilege with that. But I get it. It's badass. It really is, because Luke Skywalker is that fucking dude. But that's just not the lesson they wanted to teach us in the movie, in the sequels. Because the Jedi were kind of stupid, guys. Like, that's totally a valid point with Luke Skywalker being like, yeah, I was all about the Jedi until I actually started reading these fucking books.
Well, no, I mean the whole.
I'm sorry, I'm an avid sequel apologist because I'm.
Don's kind of right though. Like a lot of the writers were their main points of some of their stories were that at the end of the Republic, the Jedi religion was so far up its own ass it couldn't function anymore.
I think the prequels did a good job of showing exactly how hubris the Jedi became.
Mm-hmm.
But
what, we're generals now, but we're the guardians of peace. Haha, to war. Anyway,
yeah, right.
But the whole idea
using clones.
The whole idea with Luke and him coming and helping bring balance to the Force and all that stuff, and then the idea was then he was going to rebuild the Jedi Order and learn from the mistakes and make sure that it doesn't happen again. But no, he didn't. He just was like, oh, it was all terrible, and I'm just cutting myself off from the Force because I messed up with my nephew. And it was just like, no, that's not Luke. And even Mark Hamill said that. He's like, Luke was the most optimistic guy in the galaxy. Now all of a sudden he makes one mistake and that's it. He's done. Yeah, I agree with him. So
to bring this back around, and this is my last real point.
Okay.
A lot of these live action adaptions, I'm pretty much at the point now where I don't want to see them anymore, because you can't, unless you have the original creator there, like Oda with the One Piece adaptation,
mm-hmm.
Sitting there and basically telling the story of his characters, but making it the official abridged version, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that you can take these stories with this length and breadth of years of storytelling and cram them down into 8-10 episodes, 1 hour episodes in Netflix. And here's the thing. If you look on YouTube for the reactors, right? A lot of people were introduced to One Piece by seeing the live action version on Netflix, and now they're going and watching the anime, and there's so much more story in the anime. These people are like, they get to episode that magical episode 37, which is the one that hooks you for the next 1,000, right? Like, they're getting to that episode and they're crying and they're like, I can't believe how much harder this hits. So, and that's the thing. There's a lot of things in Avatar that hit, and they're not going to hit if instead of 15 episodes of seeing these two people interacting and becoming friends or something, you get 5 seconds of it,
But here, isn't the difference with One Piece versus the Avatar is the One Piece live action is one part of the story. It's not, they're not trying to tell the whole One Piece story in that
right,
live
but they
action.
are telling a story that's over 300 episodes. But the difference is that Oda was there and he could expertly cut down what he needed to, but still make it feel like his work, like the original work.
Right, and I think that's the whole thing. The original creators are going to be able to sit there and say, here are the most important beats.
Yes.
Take these and make these into 8 episodes. Not not Netflix turn around and go, no. We know what we're doing. Yeah.
We want to make it Game of Thrones. We got to make it darker and make all these and make Aang not act like a kid. You know, like that was the last straw.
And just do live action Berserk. Then you can have a Game of Thrones live action Berserk.
Right. You know, there is stuff that they could do for that. Yeah,
Airbender,
Berserk,
yeah.
right. Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk
You
about
want to
M-rated.
see depressing?
Yes.
Game of Thrones ain't got shit on Berserk, okay?
And every episode with the hotline for the national psychiatrist.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a
Red Wedding, that's a Tuesday. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's
Nice one, Don. Nice.
take a commercial break with that image in our heads, and we'll come back and talk some X-Men.
This is so wizard anime.
Broadcasting very fast and very dangerous from the planet Malistan. You are listening to So Wizard,
You're thinking, people gonna die?
the only podcast to make the Kessel run in under 12 parsecs.
No one to stop us this time.
I am your host, Joey DiCarlo, and with me, my co-hosts, the queen of all nerds, Aubrey Litchfield, and the expert, Mr. Marquis, Marcellus Ray. You are listening to So Wizard Podcast, where three friends review movies, TV, and sometimes more, podcasting weekly on the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. Marcellus Reagans, please tell the listeners where they can find more So Wizard Podcasts.
Everybody, you can head on over to SoulWizardPodcast.com, and there you're going to find a brand new episode every week. Find Soul Wizard on all podcasting streaming platforms such as iTunes, Spotify, Good Pods, and pretty much wherever you can find a podcast. Check out our YouTube page, where new content is being uploaded regularly. We also have a Patreon page. For as little as $1 a month, you can receive exclusive bonus content while you're supporting the show.
No, I didn't. First of all, a podcast takes a lot of work, okay? You have to organize the guests, you have to do a Google Calendar, and then you build a following. It takes a long time, and I've been working on it for a while.
We still need a Google Calendar. Hey, Ray's here. Live action Fist of the North Star was a gem.
Oh my gosh. Fist of the North Star. Oh, yeah, that takes me back.
Yeah.
Oh my
3.9 out of 10
Mushin
on IMDb. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
They're like I said, the Oda adaptation of One Piece is the best by far.
Speaking of things they haven't gotten right in live action yet.
X-Men. Oh yeah, no. That's true. That's totally true. Don?
They did it right a couple times.
All right, we'll get into all that, but let's first talk a little X-Men 97. Let's talk the original X-Men animated series a little bit.
Because not number 3.
Because it's funny, I haven't watched it in a long time, right? Because for a long time it wasn't even available on home video. It took a while, but now all of the episodes are on DisneyPlus. So I decided to start watching them, get ready for the new cartoon, and wow, it's interesting. Like this is
so 90s, man. It is so 90s.
This cartoon was definitely created to compete with Batman the Animated Series in many ways,
and did not quite make it.
Well,
hold on.
Yeah.
In our first 2 episodes, because I can't remember if it's the first. Is it the first one's a 2-parter? I can't remember if it's the first episode. It's like second episode.
1 and 2.
We have death right away. Like Morph gets killed right away in the.
That's why he was put in the show.
I think one of the other big differences.
Well, he came back in season 2 or 3, right? Or
he does. Yep.
Yeah, he comes back. Sinister brings him back.
That's what X-Men do. They die and come back.
So
yes, in all mediums.
This ran from 1992 to 1997, right?
Yes.
Right. So picture this as a 12-year. I know you weren't 12 at the time, but I was 12. So just understand, when we think back to our greatness of this series, you got to think back. This is a Saturday morning. This is the greatest Saturday morning cartoon that has ever existed. And I know and I will say Batman the Animated Series was better, but that wasn't Saturday. So anyway, yes, Days of the Future Past was good. Absolutely, I did like that one.
We'll get into that.
Sorry.
It's like
Sorry.
So, going back to what Dave said, Batman the Animated Series ran from 1992 to 1995. Of course, it then morphed into Batman and Robin and a few others, and Superman Adventures, and kept going on that track. And they both came out the same year, 1992. Along with I think Star Trek: The Next Generation came out at almost exactly the same time.
That was a good one, Ray. That was a good one.
You will see that flashback more than Kiss does reunion tours. It's a close second, I think. Oh my God. Anyway, hey, they said this is it. They're officially done after this one.
Yeah, Ozzy said that about 7 times himself. So
who was it that
the Rolling Stones?
Who was it that did a farewell tour and actually signed a contract saying they were never going to come back, and they came back? I think it was Motley Crue. I think that was Motley Crue did that. It was either Motley Crue or Kiss. One of them did a farewell tour, and they're like, "We're signing these contracts. We're serious. We're never going to come back," and then they came back.
And we're back.
Yeah.
Same thing with the X-Men.
So, but like, there's a lot of heavy subjects in this show. There's
they don't shy away from shit.
Right. Team dynamics, death, acceptance, because that's what the X-Men is about. It's about it's an analog to the civil rights movement. So, like, all of that stuff is in there.
Don't tell that to people on Twitter or X. Don't say that.
Just call it Twitter. It's just like nobody calls it really X. I'll grant you that. The voice acting, though, and the animation were like, even 1992 was not great.
No, because if you look at that and compare it to something like Gundam Wing that was only a couple years later, it's like light years ahead. So the X-Men animated series did not have good animation. The voice acting was okay. The problem is that, like, true story, I'm watching this on DisneyPlus. My wife is she can hear it, she can't see it because she's doing her hair, and she's like, she thought I was watching porn.
Hold on.
She's like,
hold on. Ray, Australian Wolverine is Pride of the X-Men. It's not X-Men the Animated Series.
Yes, that is correct.
So anyway, go ahead. She thought she was watching
Which is
porn.
a superior X-Men animated, but anyway.
Yeah,
she's like, why am I hearing such strange sounds coming from the TV? She thought I was watching porn.
Those are human voices.
I mean, there's even at one point where, it was like, Gene was like, oh. And
that's true. Yeah.
I could hear my wife in the next room going, "Pop goes the weasel."
the voice, like, I think one of the voice actors that most annoys me is for Storm. Because she's just so grandiose and like everything she says, the tonnage is completely out of context.
It's not so much like, I mean, it's the tone, but it's the dialogue they gave her, which, like, I get it. In some stories, that's how Storm talks in the comics, but it was just like they did it too much,
But she almost yelled every line. Like, it's almost like she's talking across.
Every line is from the goddess of the winds.
Yes.
I mean, I'll give you I'll give you this on the animation. There's a I can't remember which episode it was, but Wolverine is somewhere else with, I think, Gambit, and there's this. Oh, it's when they brought Juggernaut in, and he's robbing the bank. It was he was at the construction site when they meet Colossus.
Colossus, that's right.
Yes.
Oh,
and then,
Colossus.
And then they get called to go to the bank. When they're at the construction site with Colossus, Wolverine's in his costume. When they drive up to the bank, he's in street clothes. So he stopped to change before he went to help them stop the robbery?
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, the animation is very touch and go in this series. You know, there's specific scenes where it looks great, and there's a lot of scenes where it looks, and even the voice acting, it seems like character by character, it's either great voice acting, great lines, or really shitty voice acting, really shitty lines. Professor X going, "Arr!" Like it's literally a sound he makes.
A lot of the sounds they make when they get hit or something, like you're saying,
Yeah.
Don, they're all horrible.
There are a couple of times it felt like it's the same voice actor, which happens a lot, doing the same voice, but it was like right after, like one person talked, the other person talked. It was the same person, and they didn't change the inflection in their voice or anything. And it was like, am I hearing this right? Like this is weird. So yeah,
and the animation looks like it was animated on the 3s. I mean, you know, it's like it's really chunky.
The other thing it has going for it that Batman the Animated Series really didn't have is continuity. It's a one long continuous story. It's not, you know, the episode of the week or the episode of the 2 weeks. It's like, no, it keeps going. Like it starts with Night and the Sentinels, which leads into
Well, it'll have Night and Sentinels 1, Night and the Sentinels 2. There was 5 parts to the Dark Phoenix saga or the Phoenix saga. It did a very good job.
And things that happened in the previous episode affect the current episode.
I mean, Batman had an overlying continuity, right? Like as the series went, you know, it didn't forget what happened, right? It built on it. It built on itself. It just didn't have the overarching interregnums that the very specific storylines like X-Men did.
But what it did, though, and my last watch through of it, I noticed this.
8-Bit Ray's right. Yeah.
It keeps the same core team, but it takes you through a tour de force of all the important X-Men storylines. Is basically what it does, and they do a pretty good job of it because they keep it all in its own continuity. They do just jump from storyline to storyline, but they're not afraid to lean into anything. Again, the TV team is there, but they weren't afraid to take, like, you know, through the Phoenix saga. Like, there was literally things that were in the comic book that were in the show. It just had different X-Men characters, like them being in the water during the plane crash and her coming up. Like, that shit all happened right in the comics, just different X-Men characters. But they weren't afraid of that. They weren't afraid of that at all. They're saying, here's our X-Men team. Here's the X-Men and villains and storylines we want to take you through. And boom, there you have it. What's the Savage Land? Who gives a fuck? Here we are. You know,
Here we are, yeah.
They don't give a shit. Like, oh, Shi'ar Empire? Oh, here they are.
that's one of the things, too. Like, there is not a lot of, like, origin story stuff going on in this cartoon. It's just like,
not at all.
Here are the X-Men. In dialogue, we'll explain a little bit of their powers and whatnot. It's funny watching this because this is insane healing factor for Wolverine.
Right,
like,
so he's actually, right.
Like, he actually can get hurt, right? Like, he can't get hurt anymore. But in the comics, he used to get hurt. He just would completely heal and heal faster than a normal person. But not like, boom, I got shot and the bullet flies out of me kind of feeling that he has now.
And what 8-Bit Ray is saying, they didn't release some of the episodes in order. It brings it back to, this is Fox. And Fox was notorious for doing stuff to other people's series. And, you know, and that is probably the reason why the animation is so bad. Because, you know, Fox will put out, will probably went down to the dungeon and started using the whip on the animators to get this out really quick. And again, as 8-Bit Ray said, they released the episodes as they were finished, which doesn't necessarily mean that they were in order. It just means as they were finished. Thanks, 8-Bit.
Yeah, they didn't get to, but to Ray's point there, you know, they got the Cyclops' origin, but it went until season 3.
Right, right. Like, they told origins, but I'm saying, like, they didn't waste a bunch of time in the beginning giving you everyone's origin or details. It was like, which is good storytelling.
They just
That's what
sprinkle it in, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, Juggernaut shows up And like, yeah, you find out he's Xavier's brother, and he's not a mutant. But that's like, and the first time you meet him, that's all you know about him. You know, so.
Again, Kassan is making a good point. Like, the problem with the Avatar series is they didn't trust the audience, so they're constantly telling you what you're supposed to know,
right,
instead of letting you discover it throughout those series. I think the X-Men did pretty good job though in like just letting you experience the story and learn things as the characters learn them, right?
Right. Like to me, that's good storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta give it that, you know. Like,
I mean, but don't get me wrong. It's not a master class in storytelling.
No.
But for a 12 to 15-year-old back in the 1990s, I mean, it was pretty.
On Fox.
I mean, on Fox. I mean, my mom actually learned who the X-Men were. We kind of bonded through this because she kind of got in the X-Men, but it wasn't perfect. I mean, you've got like Gambit actually tells fat jokes like to Rogue, right? Like at one point he catches her and says, "Might I suggest less fried chicken?" Like.
And he's an HR nightmare in this one too. Like,
he also speaks in third person too, which is weird.
Yeah.
And
keeps hitting on Rogue and.
But there is really good dialogue. It's just not consistent. Like Wolverine has the greatest one-liners in this whatsoever.
Yeah.
But then like Xavier's lines are all very stilted and dumb. But then Apocalypse, I love everything he says in this show. It's a little bit more Stormish, where everything's like Shakespearean, but I don't know, it fits better with Apocalypse.
Sinister was pretty good though.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Xavier
more natural.
Xavier, especially and I'm probably on episode 15, 16 rewatching,
yeah, Ray, this is all Jim Lee. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, wait, what's he say? Omega Red got time to sign, which they drew a lot from Jim Lee. Yeah. I haven't gotten to Omega Red yet, but I mean, I remember him being in the show. I just, again, I haven't watched in a long time. Shoot, where was I going with this? I got distracted.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
I guess your thoughts are being released out of order,
Oh,
huh?
Professor X. Oh my God, Professor X was a lot of exposition dump. Like when they needed exposition, he explains to the X-Men what's going on. But then, which is good, but then like you lose him as a character because of it, like, and he's got weird grandiose. Here's something I found interesting about this show, and something I completely forgot about. Magneto. We've talked about this on the podcast, and on one of the things we said is if you're going to introduce the X-Men again now, can you do Magneto as a World War II survivor? Like, it doesn't really work timeline-wise anymore. But, could you do him as a civil rights person that survived something, lived through the civil rights movement, and, like, maybe that makes more sense, because they talked about the guy from Mandalorian playing Magneto. But here's the thing. In this cartoon, he's not a World War II survivor. He's like from some island kingdom you never heard of before, like island nation, and there was a war there. So there is that part of the background, but he's not a survivor of the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it still works. Like, again, yes, it's a kid's cartoon, but it still works. Like, they changed his origin to make it work in a more modern 90s story. So that's my argument, is that you can do it then.
You can do it. Yes, you can, but you shouldn't. You lose a lot to the character when you do that. And at the same time, yes, his age is a problem, and that's why you just listen. In the comic books, he just got resurrected. Okay, so resurrect him, de-age him. Say, hey, write some comic book mumbo jumbo science shit. Hey, I can control metal, so I can control the iron in my blood, which means I can like slow down my healing, or my aging. You have to make a way for Magneto to be a part of World War II and the Holocaust and not be a decrepit old man, and you can do it with writing.
There's infinite bullshit you can pull because
you
have so much backstory with so many different ways to make that happen.
John, you are the expert on infinite bullshit.
I can
just
neither
feel
confirm
like
nor deny that.
I just feel like, yes, I think you're right. Is this a masterclass on storytelling? No, but is it good storytelling for a 12-year-old in the 90s? Yes. Is
The
it
themes are good.
right?
Like the storytelling may be up and down, but the themes were always pretty
Yes.
solid.
Yes. Yeah. It's good.
It was always about was it persecution? It was always about people with differences, either trying to get along or trying to kill each other. And as a young kid, learning about that stuff when in our public schools, as per some of our some of the advertisements that we run on here, our public schools obviously aren't doing the job. If you can't tell Helen Keller from
I blame Colt 45 for that. But
but
that's
still,
not the views of this podcast.
if you don't know who Anne Frank is compared to Helen Keller, then but this kind of thing is good for kids because it's exposing them to stuff that they can think about and mature with.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not masterclass. The writing, it was a good show, but at the same time, 8-Bit Ray talking about the Magneto and his introduction to the show, masterful dialogue, absolutely. But at the same time, this show, during the aforementioned Cyclops origin, he goes and this Kilgore character that's in the show, he takes these 4 mutant and makes them orphans, Rusty being one of them, featured in Deadpool 2. But anyway, long story short, Cyclops goes to visit this guy. A mutant kid on a wheelchair knocks him over, knocks out Cyclops, and then the villain's plan at that point is to have one of his thugs throw Cyclops in the pool in the backyard for him to drown while they go off to some event to become the governor. Like, really? That's what you thought? You're just going to throw Cyclops in a pool after a kid in a wheelchair knocked him out? Like, that's my only critique of this whole series, the animated series, is that you got some real high highs, but you also have a lot of lows, and a lot of them started after the Phoenix Saga. It seems like after season 3, it's where they started to just throw shit a little bit.
Why is it always the Phoenix Saga that blows
hey,
up?
At least it was done well. Hey, it gave it more time to breathe than any of the movies ever did.
True.
Sometimes I feel like they start projects like I think this is a good example of they started this project, because it's funny if you use history of like getting the show made, what's it, the secret, what's the name of that channel? They talk about old shows and old whatever. There's a whole thing on how the
Secret Galaxy.
Secret Galaxy, thank you.
Secret Galaxy, yeah.
They did a whole episode on how this show got made, which starts with Pride of the X-Men, and it took a long time for this cartoon to get made. And I feel like once they got the green light, it's like, all right, we want to get to the Phoenix Saga, and then that was
absolutely.
it. And then like they didn't know. We're like, no, we got there. Now what? We don't know. Yeah.
Although Ray in the comments, they're saying the Mojoverse episodes are probably his favorite. That is funny. Those are good. But we got to get a bunch of. I got to pull a bunch of sound bites from it because it's funny. Because like every time they go to kill somebody in the episode, it's cancel them all now. So I just need to get some sound bites from that because they're always talking about canceling. Just makes me think about cancel culture.
And you got to remember some of the other cartoons at the time. Gargoyles, which had much better animation, but just as deep storylines, I'd say. Like Powerpuff Girls.
That's Disney though, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was Disney.
Disney animated the shit out of everything in that time.
Beavis and Butthead came out around the same time.
James here is agreeing with you there, Don. That's not bullshit. Understanding the Holocaust, what it meant, what it is, not something to stay away from, and the opportunity it converts to a lot of modern problems. Yeah.
No argument for me.
No, that's
keep it in.
I'm with you too.
Keep it in.
Yeah.
Yes, Ray's right too. The budget for the show was constantly being slashed.
Oh no, Fox slashed somebody's budget.
Not
yeah.
to drown.
Fie on you.
That happens with a lot of shows. It's not just Fox.
I know, but Fox is just...
Sci-Fi Network was notorious for like they gave you a great first season and then like they slashed the budget for the second season.
Yeah, but Fox did Firefly, so like we're like no geek is ever going to give them a pass ever again. Like, you know, they're horrible. They were horrible to everything. Fox killed so many shows,
Except they kept the Simpsons 90s, on. They kept the Simpsons on forever. It's still on. All right. So now my question gears the conversation towards now we're going to be getting a continuation of this show, X-Men 97, brand new on DisneyPlus. Obviously, they're going to up the animation and the storytelling. I would hope so.
Are they? Well, did you see the promo? Go ahead, Ray. I mean, Don. Sorry. Don.
Sorry. Well, yeah, you would definitely hope so. You would definitely hope they realize the truth, which is this is for us 40, 50-year-olds. So, which, yeah, we're going to need a little bit better, storytelling. I hope they upgrade it in that respect. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not even like they're not talking about plans of a continuation either. Like I think it's going to be 8 episodes, like they do everything. So, and of course the show ended with Xavier dying, right? If I remember correctly.
Right, dying. The Magneto gets everything. Although I don't think he's dead. I just think he's up with Lilandra and the Shi'ar Empire. I think that'll be revealed. We'll see.
Right, that's what I'm going to say. Where do you kind of want to see the story go?
I have a feeling it's going to butt up against Wolverine and Deadpool. I have a feeling it's the whole reason this show is even existing right now. It's because it's before Deadpool and Wolverine, which I think is going to, reset a lot of shit. Well, honestly, I think that it's basically the Fox X-Men and Hugh Jackman Wolverine's funeral movie. But outside of that, like I could see like this just being another multiverse of the X-Men that Deadpool runs into in his movie. I don't know if it's going to be a big part of it. It might just be a cameo.
You think you think they'll bump into the animated show, the animated characters?
Yeah.
Because I mean, it actually, you know what? Because in Spider-Verse, we saw that they had animated characters with the live action characters too. So it's not unheard of.
They showed Don Glover as the
Prowler.
Prowler in that, yeah.
Yeah.
I
that would be cool. I'd do that. I mean, rounds will make it work. So
could you imagine like the last episode, an animated Deadpool,
right,
voiced by Ryan Reynolds, running through the scene? Oh my god!
Which is funny because in the original animated series, like you only see Deadpool as an image. He never talks or nothing, or has any sort of
97 was only me to silence Don on Twitter. I love it.
It could be true. But definitely I could see that.
You really have that kind of power, Don? I have a couple of things I want you to complain about on Twitter.
Don, you say that Deadpool was only like a shadow in the background or whatever. He didn't talk, but again, not the Marvel guy here. When was Deadpool like had a change of personality when a new writer started writing him, right? So when did that happen?
Big time.
When did that? The
Deadpool
we know was created by.
Yeah, that was. I don't remember the exact year, but it was after this. That was like, 96, 97, which is about the end of this. But yeah, at this time though, Deadpool was just like an assassin, just another.
Yeah. I mean, he very much was a
Spidey assassin,
right? Yeah,
of what's his face? That's
Wade Wilson, or Slade Wilson.
Wilson. That's why his name is
Wade Wilson.
Yeah. Wade Wilson. Right.
He's a blatant ripoff.
He was a complete and total ripoff of him. Right. They didn't change his personality till later.
So it's unsurprising that he wasn't really featured. So yeah. So maybe Ryan Reynolds. That'd be fun. I don't hold much hope out for something that cool happening, but if it does, I'm all in. I'll watch the hell out of that.
tested. Have Don bitch about Firefly. Okay, James.
We are talking about Fox.
Maybe they'll all of a sudden there'll be a new Firefly season on DisneyPlus.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. They need a time machine for some of the actors.
Yeah.
You do it animated.
But he wasn't about the X-Force yet, right? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. They should have had Deadpool in the X-Force episode. But yeah. I don't think he wasn't on the X-Force yet at that point, or was he?
No.
Okay. So, yeah. All right. Now here's a question. Because you just said it, right? You feel that this might bump into Deadpool. How do you... Would you want this to influence what we're going to get live action X-Men in the MCU in any way?
No. I as far as in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, no. I want him to make a joke about Jean Grey's orgasms or something, and maybe show it, you know, and then move, you know. Well,
Hey, Rogue also had those kinds of intonations. She
did.
Like all of it was. I don't know. Maybe they were just having fun with it.
I'm telling you, my
wondering
wife
what they
is
could
not,
get by the censors.
She's not familiar with it all. She's not familiar with the memes. She's never heard me joke about it. And I shit you not. She's like, it sounds like she's straight having sex.
And that's something that we also didn't talk about. One of the other reasons that maybe the storylines are so constrained is the censors back in the 90s were hell.
Well, yeah,
like,
I mean,
you couldn't. Yeah, you could. Not only did the showrunners not know what the censors would think that should be taken out from week to week, but the censors in America were so much more stringent than anywhere else on the planet.
It's not just that. I mean, it was on broadcast TV, and it was geared towards kids, and like there was the whole, Children TV Act, I think, in the late 80s, early 90s, where
you can't make it one big commercial for...
Right. They got very strict with what they could put in cartoons at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's why you never... I mean, with Wolverine with his adamantium claws and not a drop of blood spilled in how many seasons? It's like...
I thought that... Okay, bad animation again. Like, even when he wasn't in his costume, he had the little metal covers for his claws on his hand, and never had blood show up when he put his claws
Slice
out.
somebody. Yeah,
but again, they never did that in the live action movies either.
I will defend it in that respect, although I agree. And sometimes even the placement of his little things on his gloves was just way screwed up. But even in the comics, we didn't know how his claws worked yet. Magneto had yet to rip out his adamantium. So the question of whether he had those claws or not without the adamantium wasn't known.
True.
So there was a little ambiguity there that they had to work with. And that was exciting about the Wolverine. I know no one will ever remember this, but I up until a point, guys, until they did the origin story for him, which was a graphic novel, we didn't know a lot about Wolverine.
True.
So this did come out before we discovered a lot of that. Before we knew that his claws were bone claws under there, you know. So
all you knew was the first time you saw him, he was fighting the Hulk, and surviving, and you're like, oh crap, I gotta know more about this guy. He can survive the Hulk.
Yeah, no, that's true, because I have the Wolverine origin books too, and it's like, until then, it was he was given the claws through the Weapon X program, was what was believed for a long time.
So I wonder if it can be said that the success of this, even regarding some of its problems, was the reason why that they had the Spider-Man animated series. Like Marvel tried out some other series too, like because they had the Spider-Man animated series very shortly after this one started. And I think there were a few others. Not Captain Planet. I'll have to look through. Oh, Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four, the animated series, came out in 1994. So it's like all of a sudden, all of these other Marvel...
That was short-lived, I think, though, the Fantastic Four one.
Which, I forget. It wasn't the one that had the thing ring do your thing thing.
No, that's 80s.
That was
I think.
that was 80s, right? Or
Yeah,
70s?
it's like late 70s, early 80s. I think the thing ring one.
They had a perfect storm with this one because you had a couple of X-Men things really pop. You had the X-Men, the arcade game, which was based off the Pride of the X-Men show that they didn't go forward with. But then you had the X-Men #1 here, which it is by far the king as far as sales in the history of comic books.
Yeah.
And that's Claremont writing, Jim Lee artist. That's top tier X-Men. So I think that they rode that, and boom, they came out with a show that was for the time fairly sophisticated. I just think it was a perfect storm. And again, it was something my mom started paying attention to. So they were never any more popular in the comics. Boom, here's their animated series on Fox every Saturday. Which I remember they reran Night in the Sentinels for like fucking 6 months before they actually progressed in the story. I remember they used to annoyed the hell out of me, but I still watched it.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect storm. This struck right at the right time.
I agree. I agree. It was. I mean, they've constantly been one of the best-selling books for Marvel since then as well. The thing is, like with this, again, to shut Don up. But I also kind of feel like, are they going to give us a happy ending? Like, are they going to finish the story? And do you think they're going to pull in elements from more recent comics to finish it out? Because they touched on a lot of the stories from the comics in the cartoon, right? It wasn't like, here's an animated series and we're just making everything up. Like, you had the Phoenix Saga, you had Days of Future Past. So, and the Morlocks and all this stuff that came right out of the comics. So, like, you have all this stuff that happened on Genosha in the last couple decades in the comic. Do they touch on any of that? Do they touch on X versus Avengers?
How do you get a happy ending with the X-Men?
Well, you don't, but...
Well, you don't. I mean, with the whole House of X, Powers of 10, with Moira seeing all these futures and all of them end in, the destruction of mutants. You know what? Deep cut here, Dave. As you were saying this, man, as far as being intertwined with the comics. Okay, so House of X, Powers of 10, that is where it was introduced, where Moira McTaggart was actually a mutant whose power is the power of reincarnation. So when she dies, the whole fucking universe starts over. Okay? They have never shed the light on her sixth life. I think it's her sixth life. They have told you how all the other lives are going to go out, and they've done books on them, but they've said, you have the sixth life, we're not going to touch that. Moira McTaggart is in the show, but as a human. If they really want to go meta here, they could say that this animated universe is her sixth life, and that when she dies, it'll start over, and that's why it's poof gone. They could do that. There's a life of Moira McTaggart out there, which again, every time she dies, she resets the whole goddamn universe and reincarnates with all her previous memories. There is one specific life that she has that they have never said what the fuck happened in it. Yeah, I am talking Hickman right now. You are correct, sir.
You and Ray, the forever battle. Yeah, I mean, oh God, and then you could make. See, I'm thinking. You just brought up the reincarnation stuff, and
yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, but they have said that like it's all the stuff on DisneyPlus, even What If is all somehow connected to the MCU. Is X-Men 97 going to be connected to the MCU? And do they bring that stuff in to bring the X-Men into the MCU proper?
I mean, if they pull a CW with what CW did with the Crisis, like they just decided, you know what? Everything that's ever been on TV in DC, it's all canon now. they pulled in everything from Birds of Prey to the old Batman movies. Everything was pulled in. So maybe they could do this. They could easily do that. Why not? Marvel's got a multiverse too. Why not?
And that's the thing. And now that the multiverse is in play and we're fucking around with it, they can literally do whatever the hell they want until they decide to shrink it all back down. Oh, what? Secret Wars? Yep, that's coming. Anyway.
All right.
Loki's sitting there at the bottom of that tree, just watching all this happen. All
right. Final question on this topic, because man, I didn't think we were going to go long this week, and we're at 2 hours. So again, now we're talking about bumping this into the MCU and all of this stuff. And I know you've said it a couple times, Don, but like, what do you hope for X-Men in the MCU? Like, I think we're going to get total recast of everyone.
We should. And Marvel needs to do the recast. Okay, comic books go on for a long time. And you're going to have to recast because you cannot keep inventing new characters and think we're going to care about them. Okay,
we've already had that problem. Yeah.
But what I want for the X-Men in the MCU is, I want them to treat it with respect and keep it as close as they can to the source material. And I'm encouraged by the fact that, from what I'm hearing, the Fantastic Four is going to take place in the 60s. So that does encourage me that we are maybe not to start off with, because I think this animated series 97 is kind of the unofficial kickoff of the X-Men in the MCU. But I do want to make sure that when they are in the MCU, we do start at the origins, or at least touch upon the origins of the original team and go from there in the 60s. So there's going to be a time jump, and I'm for that. But I want them to try and stay close to the original origins and everything as they can. I don't want it 100%. Make it good, write it well, and let's face it, not all the comics are written well. But just give me my 5 original team, then go into giant size X-Men, and just lean into the strengths of the X-Men, the soap opera element. The academia element with the X-Mansion, like, that's big right now with manga and shit. Like, so make sure you have a spin-off show of the, the X university or whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, have a tournament arc. I mean, that and the high school, like those are very popular in manga.
But just don't burn it too fast. Burn it slow. Start us off simple. Don't want to bust your nut on the Phoenix Saga real quick, okay? Don't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, let it breathe. Well, like we were saying,
let it cook. Yeah, that's what I want.
I don't want them to do the Phoenix Saga at all.
It's a hard thing to not do when you're talking about the X-Men. But I get it. It's been done. I get that.
It's been done twice live action, poorly. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, what I really want, because it's really creepy and weird, I really want people to stop complaining that Rogue's butt is not as big as it was in the original series. Oh, yeah, you didn't know that, John? People are complaining that Rogue doesn't have as big as breast and butt.
Of all the
hey, guys, if you want that, you got the 90s comics. She's got thighs for miles, right? It's because here's the thing. Back in 1992, you're right. Fat material was not so readily available. You couldn't just go online, but now you can.
Hashtag
and now
not
we're
my
all
rogue,
40.
right?
We have daughters. Like, we don't need... That's not what we need in our animated series is Oh, and Morph's binary. He's non-binary, I'm sorry. One of the producers of the writer, showrunner, actually, did announce in an interview that Morph is non-binary. So, of course, people are losing their shit over that because Morph, someone that can turn into anything, it's dumb. Please stop being... It's weird. It's weird that you care about these things about a cartoon. That's all. That's what I want. For you to not want that.
The two things I would say on that is, first off, Morph was introduced in the cartoon. He was not a comic book character. Like they introduced him in the cartoon. He dies right away, and then comes back by Mr. Sinister as a character trying to take revenge on the X-Men. It's not a topic that's ever touched in that cartoon. And so, like, who cares one way or the other? And two,
right,
there's a lot of times, let's be completely honest, there's been a lot of times where there have been interviews where they have said, this character's gay, this character's non-binary, but it never plays at all into the movie
Not at
or
all.
TV show that they're in. It's just some creator said that about the character. It doesn't mean anything.
To either get some clicks or to
Right.
play well with a certain group.
Right.
But yes, the truth be told, we don't watch or read these things because of sex. Because it doesn't matter.
Oh no, Dumbledore's gay. I mean, like, you know, and all of a sudden everybody hates Harry Potter. It's like, what?
If I'm trying to watch gay porn, then I'll care who's gay or not. But I'm not. I'm trying to watch people
And if you want big butts and
fight.
breasts, go watch anime. There's
What is it?
plenty of
Rule
them.
Rule 34 or Rule 36
Yes, Rule
or something
34.
like that?
Yep.
Yeah, go Pornhub.
I mean, it's
Rogue Gambit. Boom. Go crazy. It's creepy. We're just trying to watch a show, man.
We're looking for a good story. I mean,
Ray, I don't think that's going to get subscriptions. No one's going to subscribe to DisneyPlus because Rogue's got a nice ass. I'm sorry.
unless she's on OnlyFans, and then the sky's the limit.
Exactly.
It is
Hey,
weird to
hey,
think
you've
that
got
they care
AI
about-
generative like images
Taylor
now.
Swift, right.
So well, no, somebody go do a Rogue one on OnlyFans. Like,
yeah.
Instagram's blowing up with that. Oh God, what am I talking about? This is
Yeah, no, it
it's all
really
stupid.
It
all
really is
stupid.
dumb that's discourse online, but that's online. So I at least have that perspective. It's not real life.
Okay, so Kasan says, do you expect the series to dive into more mature themes like the original?
Is he asking us a real question? I mean,
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Gassan. They said that like Morph's story is going to be lighter, and he had like probably one of the darkest stories in the original series. It's Disney. I don't think they're going to go as dark as the original series did. They still have mature ideas in it, but I don't think it's going to be like, a character's going to die right away in the first episode.
until the very second Ryan Reynolds comes in, and then, well,
Right.
Plug the hub, boys. See what you guys did? I didn't say it. It was these two.
Anyway, moving on.
I don't know. Like, what do you think? You guys agree or disagree? Are they gonna be lighter with this than the original series was?
I would say they stay the same. I mean, like, it's Disney and all, so that puts the brakes on a lot of stuff they could do, but they're not going to, I don't think they'd be able to make it any tamer than the original and be able to tout this as a true successor.
Yeah, I mean, in the trailer, I think I don't think they're going to steer away from the dark. I mean, this whole series is starting with the death of Professor Xavier, Magneto being the headmaster of the school. And I think they're absolutely going to lean into the whole, the mutants living in a world that hates and fears them and still trying to fight for them, which to me is the core of the X-Men, which is kind of one reason I've disengaged a little bit from the comic source right now, because they're not really doing that right now. But I think it's going to be pretty dark. But at the same time, it's only 8 episodes. So, I mean, how dark and depressing can you get before you have to come back into the light? Or else you got Berserk. Anyway, but
I mean, if they go 8 episodes and then on a cliffhanger without knowing they're going to do more, that will upset me.
I mean, guys,
I'm
all
with you.
those themes they talked about in the 90s, we've solved all that stuff.
Yeah,
we don't have any of that. Oh, those kinds of problems.
Like all the social strife we had in the 60s, we solved that. Then the 70s, we fixed everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Like, we keep winning We're winning
We don't
and winning and winning.
Yeah, we're just winning. We don't hate on people different at us. No, we don't do that.
Unless
we don't
they have small butts, apparently.
Right. Or disagree with us.
John
don't
likes
have
big
any-
butts and he cannot lie.
I did not say that. I do not endorse that. Jeez.
Other brothers can't
It's okay, John, if you do. Big butts are awesome. I happen to like them very much so.
know.
But I don't watch an X-Men comic book or video anymore. I did back then when I was 12. We're not 12 anymore. Some of us have
Speak
daughters,
for yourself.
wives. Yeah.
My maturity's peaked at 12. All right? Like,
Listen, I'm lying if I said anything differently. I think the same shit I did as I did when I was 12 years old. But still.
all right. I think this is a good place to put a pin in it for this week. So, as always, let's go around and I'm going to ask, what did you learn on the podcast this week, or do you have any recommendations? And Don, you can go first.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to screw the pooch because I did have one question. So I'm sorry about the X-Men animated series. I'm sorry. Listen, meta. In the original show, Iceman falls in love with Polaris. Then she falls in love with Havoc. Since then, Iceman has come out as homosexual in the comics.
Oh, that's right.
My question, in the new show, do they deal with this or not? So what I learned today is Dave and John don't know the answer to that question, but tell me what you think in the comments below.
That's interesting, yeah. Some things have changed. Huh.
I don't know. Have they said Iceman's going to be in this show?
That's another great question.
Yeah.
And
I would have to.
Firestar and
I would have
Spider-Man
to see the list of characters to determine what they're going to deal with. So
Sorry, that's what I learned, that no one knows that answer.
no one knows the answer to that. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting for them to deal with that in a cartoon on DisneyPlus. I don't know.
It's their thing now.
All right, John, how about you?
Okay, well, my final verdict on the Avatar live action on Netflix right now is if you're really adamant about, like, if you have the mistaken idea that animated series are childish and everything, then watch the animated adaptation or the live action adaptation on Netflix. But I would wholly recommend that you skip that and go to the original animated version because, I mean, it's funny. A lot of reviewers say that it was made for kids, but there's just too many. It's way better. It's much more mature than you think. The only other thing is I'll recommend Seventh Time Loop. It's an anime. And it's turning out to be way better. It's a villainous anime, but it's way better than any of the others out there, or most of the others out there. So, Dave.
All right. So, Ray, Ray just said better deal with real issues like this. Apocalypse having a penis, and so what I learned is, thank God Ray is here because I almost went a whole episode without.
What are you doing? We don't do that here.
So I learned
the same thing.
Thank
Well
you.
played.
Thank you for that, Ray.
Ray's here asking the real questions.
The real questions. Yeah.
Real quick, Kassan looked it up, and according to Wikipedia, Iceman isn't on the new show. So, all right. Also, I learned that John likes big butts, and he cannot lie. And your other brothers can't deny.
I didn't say that. You said that.
Does he really not know what I'm referencing, Don? Like, I can't.
I don't think so. It seems as though he does not.
Oh my God, Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Not a. Sir
Yeah, I know
Mix-a-Lot
what
fan?
that. I know that.
Okay.
Then why are you getting upset? It's called.
Where they had the
humor.
women dancing on the big butts. Remember that video?
Yeah, I remember. I remember MTV.
Yes.
When they
And
played music.
when they played music.
When they played music.
But yeah, and I also learned that Don likes to stump us with questions at the end of the show. But if you
I'm sorry. It was the one point I had I didn't get to. I'm sorry.
If you think they're going to deal with it or not deal with it, let us know in the comments, and we will discuss it on next week's episode. Also, if you've gotten this far in the show and you're not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button, click that bell for notifications so you don't miss us every Sunday night when we go live. Also, I recommend you go to superheroespeak.com where you can find the podcast every week. Comic reviews by our good friend Chris and some old ones from Don. Just, go through those archives. And so it links to our social media top page. Did I say that? All right. And I got nothing. I got no real recommendation. Other than if you are interested in X-Men 97, you should go back and watch the original series, and get an idea of like where this is picking, because it's picking up from the end of that show. So if you haven't watched the original series, you'll be lost, I think. That's a good question.
That's interesting.
That's a good question. Are you going to be lost when this show launches if you've not seen the original?
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, the show always did a good job of previously on the X-Men.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Well, on that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for watching. Don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.